recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
You know, I take it all with a grain of salt because, I mean, it's funny. It's funny to me on a certain level because I just had a normal relationship with Debbie for so long. But as an ego boost to a man, it's fantastic.
Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts the music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today on Machino Music, it's the Most Punk Blondie Songs. Does anybody else hear a drum machine? Good afternoon, everybody. Most Punk Blondie Songs, that's what we're doing here today. Now, I know you're wondering, why the hell am I wearing a neck brace? Well, I do have a bit of a problem with my neck. I don't know what I did. Although I have neck and back problems, because, you know, like a lot of the years of doing physical comedy. Sometimes it hurts the neck, hurts the back. So, yeah, I thought I'd put on this neck brace. And also, you know, I just kind of want the sympathy. Somebody's going to look at this and go, oh, that poor guy, that poor son of a bitch has to wear a neck brace. Wonder what happened to him. Yeah. So that's why I'm wearing the neck brace. But Most Punk Blondie Songs, that's what we're talking about here today. Now, is Blondie a punk band? That's a great debate. You can call them a punk band. I mean, there's like a whole Reddit I saw recently saying, what's the deal with Blondie and punk? Everything I hear doesn't sound like punk. I read this book recently all about the history of punk, and Blondie was listed as one of the early punk bands. They're put in there with the same chapter with the Ramones. And yeah, they were part of the CBGB scene. But as far as, like, actually being a punk band, Debbie Harry says Blondie's a punk band. If Debbie Harry says it, then okay, I'm going to listen to Debbie Harry. I mean, she's the queen of punk, you could say. Okay. Oh, all right. But what are the most punk Blondie songs? If you're going to say they're a punk band, let's try and find some songs that kind of represent them as a punk band. So I went through each album, at least the early albums, because, you know, the more recent ones, they have a new album coming out, so this is kind of fitting. There's no exact date said when it's coming out, so I'll talk about it when it's released, but I don't know when the hell it's actually supposed to be released. But if you take the later albums, it was more that Euro disco thing. And even the most recent album, Pollinator, is kind of more, a bit of that, although kind of more new wave. I mean, definitely a new wave band. Oh, that didn't feel good. But here are the punk Blondie songs that I think represent them as a punk band. Starting with the first album, Rip Her to Shreds. I mean, that's aggressive Debbie Harry. Gotta love aggressive Debbie Harry. That's where she's at her most punk, is the aggressive songs. Rip Her to Shreds is definitely one of those songs. She wants to rip this other girl's head off. Walking around like she's Brenda Starr. The only thing that doesn't really hold up about that song, actually, I don't think most people hearing that song today, who the hell's Brenda Starr? She was a comic strip character, like a hot stuff comic strip character, kind of like Blondie, who was also a comic strip character, although that was not what inspired the name of the band. It was what construction workers whistled to Debbie Harry with her blonde hair. Hey, Blondie. Back when construction workers whistled at women. I'm sure they still do in some places, but it's frowned upon. But that's what Brenda Starr is a reference to, this comic strip character. A movie was made of that character starring Brooke Shields. There you go. A little bit of trivia there. But Rip Her to Shreds, totally one of those songs. Also, Also, Kung Fu Girls. Kung Fu Girls definitely has a punk feel to it. It's another song, very aggressive Debbie. She's a Kung Fu girl. She's gonna Kung Fu you up. That's what's gonna happen. And lastly, from the debut, Ex-Offender. Originally called Sex Offender, but you can't have that. Called a song, we call it Ex-Offender. Definitely got a punk feel to that. It's got this or the new wave, got the keyboards on it. Jimmy Destry with the keyboards. But really, I think it's still a very, very punk song. And then the second record, Plastic Letters. The first and second Blondie albums are like probably their most punk albums. But from Plastic Letters, you got I Didn't Have the Nerve to Say No. I think that has a punk feel to it. I'm on E, totally a punk song. It's fast. It's not very long. It's only about 2 minutes or so. And it's just one of those, it's a fast tune. It definitely has a punk sound. So those two I have it from Plastic Letters. And now we're getting to Parallel Lines, which is where they started the mainstream, started going in the disco direction. They call it the disco album. Oh, talking about disco, thinking about dancing, and I felt that one. Yeah. But you could say One Way or Another, which was a hit off the album, kind of a punk song. But I think that's kind of more just a straight up, more of a rock song. But what has the punk feel? Hanging on the Telephone, I'm saying it's a very punk Blondie song. It's a cover of a punk song, an early punk song by a band called The Nerves. Don't leave me hanging on the telephone. A forgotten band. So do a cover of a forgotten band song, and it kind of works. It wasn't really a hit, at least it wasn't a hit over here. So do a cover, Blondie makes this huge song. People think like I was today years old when I learned that Hanging on the Telephone was a cover song. It's a great tune. So that one I think fits in. I'm a Gonna Love You Too. Also from Parallel Lines. It's a Buddy Holly song. And Buddy Holly, you could argue, was an early influence on punk. Or at least new wave. Just look at Elvis Costello. He's got the Buddy Holly thing going on. But even sort of the energy of a lot of Buddy Holly songs, you could say is kind of like maybe an influence on punk. But I'm a Gonna Love You Too, really fun. To speed that one up, have a lot of fun with it. So I would say that one works. And the final song from Parallel Lines, Just Go Away. It's definitely a pop punk song. Definitely got that pop punk feel, like a power pop. That was a big spit I just did right there. So I would say, there you go. Those are the ones from Parallel Lines that you could argue are punk songs. And closing this out, this discussion here, from Eat to the Beat, the title track, Eat to the Beat, I would say that is a punk song. Listen to that one. It's fast. It's got silly lyrics. Such a fun song. It's got that punk energy to it. So those are the songs that I would argue are the most punk Blondie songs. You might think of more, but these are the ones that I kind of went through all the albums. As a big Blondie fan, I don't mind revisiting Blondie albums anytime I can. Excited for the new record. I'll see what that sounds like. I think it's going to sound, from the sounds of it, be more like Pollinator, kind of more on the new wave feel. But they could have some punk feel to it. You never know. Blondie surprises you. I just hope it doesn't sound too much like the Euro pop they were doing in the Euro disco they were doing kind of like in the 90s into the early 2000s. Some of those albums are good, but not a huge fan of those. I mean, the 70s and also, I guess, and Pollinator is just a fantastic return to form. And some of the 80s albums are fantastic as well. But, yeah, this is what I think are the most punk Blondie songs. And we have another episode of this Most Punk where we're going to be doing Devo. Yeah, a little hype for that one. So get ready for that. And hopefully I'm not going to be wearing a neck brace for that one. I'm only doing it today because, my neck just kind of hurts, people. I should be probably laying down. I should lay across this table. Although that would be more for my back. You've tuned out. You don't even care. You probably didn't even watch this whole episode. But so those are what I think are the most punk Blondie songs. If you're a fan of Blondie, if you're a fan of punk, and you like hearing them talked about together, I hope you enjoyed this. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.